You are now watching the Juke Boys Sports Show. I am your host, King Ralph, here with my co-host and homie Kai. What's happening, Brody?
What's good? What's good? I am glad to be back.
Right, man. It feels like it's been too long since we did one, but
Oh,
life happens. And yeah, that's all. But at the end of the day, let's go ahead and show some love to the sponsors. Although we are at the crib, if you want to get any kind of photo shoots, music videos, do a podcast like the one we normally do with the green screen in front of it, well behind us. Just make sure you call the number at the bottom of the screen, 707 Fit Boxer, and they'll get you right. But let's jump straight into it, man. First off, shout out to the Milwaukee Bucks.
yes.
And the whole fan base, man. They did it. A lot of people are talking about them. They did it the right way. No super team. They got it out the mud. Homegrown draft picks, some free agents to come in, trades at the deadline, and they came up big for them, man. Every piece, every little twist and tweak they did, and then Giannis was able to bring it home, man.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the question that we've all been waiting for to talk about. Was he two-time defensive player of the year?
MVP one time.
Two-time MVP, one-time defensive player.
Yeah.
Multiple All-Stars.
Yeah.
Finals MVP. Now has his ring. Has he surpassed LeBron or KD and became the best player in the league?
See, simple yes or no question, right? Or that's what we always do with those questions. I'm going to be honest with you, man. And I actually, because I talked about this before with some friends on the side. I think it all depends on your criteria and your definition of best, right? I think this is a perfect show to actually have this kind of conversation. And is he the best player or he's the most dominant player, right? And so what I mean by that is when we look at the best player in the NBA, I always look at there's obviously the most skilled, then there's the most impactful. And I feel like your best player, you should be able to go to your best player at the end of games to close out games, right? If you go throughout the history, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, even LeBron James, he's debunked the myth that he's not clutch. Well, Giannis has always been being a liability at the free throw line. Now, in that closeout game, he actually performed well. You know what I'm saying? And if he's going to continue to do that over the duration of his career, I think then obviously he would clearly have a great case for being the best player of the game. But for me personally, before I give my definitive answer on this, I would say the best player for me, just my personal criteria, I always kind of looked at it from first, you have to have some type of skill set. So I like my best player to be able to score from all three levels. They don't have to be Steph Curry shooting, but score from all three levels, be able to defend the opposing team's best player, right? Close games out in the clutch, and then in the postseason, elevate your level of play. When I look at players who do that, there's three guys that came to mind prior to the start of this season. It was LeBron James, it was Kevin Durant, and it was Kawhi Leonard. Now, I would say Kawhi Leonard is probably the best defender out of those guys. KD is the more aggressive scorer, and LeBron James has the leadership intangibles. So where does Giannis fit in? Giannis, his physical dominance kind of reminds us of Shaq, right? But Chris Middleton oftentimes had to close out games for Giannis. So that's why I always say it kind of reminds me of that Shaq and Kobe conversation that Stephen A. and Max Kellerman once had when they said, was Shaq actually the best player, in the NBA or during the three-peat or whatever? And I actually, believe it or not, I actually kind of like some of the things Max said. He said, well, Kobe was guarding the best player and closing those games. Shaq was on the bench a lot of times. So I'm not slighting Giannis, but I just think for me, he's always been kind of more the most dominant player. You know what I'm saying? Right. I do believe that Kevin Durant is probably the best player in the NBA. It's just that he hasn't really proven it without said super team, if you get what I'm saying. And so I think that's what a lot of people, or should I say, I'll just speak for myself. I think that's what a lot of people have been kind of waiting, or I've been waiting on. It's like, I know he's the best, but I can't really prove it. Right. If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So for all intents and purposes, until he proves it over the duration of a season without that much help, I think that is up for debate between Giannis, LeBron, even Kawhi. But right now, Giannis is the king of the NBA. So that's kind of my answer, and I'm kind of intrigued to hear what you say. So it's kind of the criteria for it, how you view it, man. You know,
I do personally believe that he is the most dominant player we've seen. Like I just was breaking this down the other day because it's in a group chat that I'm in, this basketball league that I'm supposed to be playing in. But I'm gonna take this season off, get myself in shape. But that's a whole other story. But what we're gonna end up doing, and we ended up talking about, is like this dude's like, "Oh man, Giannis hype train," and I was just like, "Nah, man, this ain't no hype." Like,
right.
The dude, I got his numbers pulled up right now.
Okay.
First of all, for a person that struggled at the free throw line, this man went 17 of 19
exactly
from the free throw line. 50 points all in total. 14 rebounds. Well, we got 2 assists, 5 blocks, while shooting 64% from the field as a whole. One of 3 from 3. Like, he kind of showed a glimpse of what Giannis could be once he reaches his full potential.
Right.
Will he ever be the shooter that KD is? No. But he showed, like you've been talking about for the last couple months, that, and I think that that's where the team was able to take that jump as a whole, from where they took the ball out of his hand instead of having him go 1-on-5 from the top of the key with 4 out wide. You get him in some pick and roll action where instead of popping like most big men would, he rolls to the basket looking for the oop or post up spot. Then you give him the ball in the post, and instead of just trying to go by you, he got that 10 to 15 footer, right, turn around, fadeaway jumper.
Lethal.
And then it got to a certain point where it was like, that joint going in, this ain't just like, oh, well, he making them today.
Right.
It was like because there's some people that's like, you just got to be like, you know what? Like if he goes 5 for 7 from 3.
Yeah.
He making them today. There's not really much you can do about it. But is he going to go 5 of 7 from 3 in the next game? No.
Mm-mm.
I'm willing to put money on it, and I'm willing to put my season on it too, type of thing. Where I'm gonna keep giving him that. So it's like he started to show his evolution within his game. Now, I do say this, and it's gonna sound, and I seen this tweet earlier today, and
speak your mind.
It was such a like that's just it is the truth of the matter, is that if KD's foot is my size instead of his size, we're having another conversation, because we're at that point we're talking about how Giannis couldn't get it done.
Yes.
Against a Nets team that didn't have Kyrie. And I mean James Harden was out there physically, but was he really out there? So it's like I think at that point we would be having another conversation where, for me, everything that you brought up is why I think that KD is the best player in the league. Even I think in that game alone, he showed he's the best player in the league.
Yeah.
Like, I think, but I do think that Milwaukee team didn't reach like their potential until they played the Hawks. When Giannis had to, I do personally feel like that Nets team, they didn't play the best version of the Bucks.
Oh no!
Until the Bucks played the Hawks, Giannis had to go out, and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday had to find their games within all of that. So then with that, like, they find their games, they realize you can put the ball in Drew Holiday's hands at the end of games. You can put the ball in Chris Middleton's hands at the end of games and let them just fully close out the game, to where now instead of trying to funnel the ball to Giannis, you're playing within the offense. Where, like I was telling my brother, the reason I think that if you took Giannis off and put KD in that spot, you still have a lethal offense and defense.
Oh yeah, and KD's positionless.
Right. Especially to the point where at that point now where Brooks showed you he could still be effective in the paint.
Right.
Now you can you can mix and match to where you can put Brook down in the paint with KD on the floor. You can take KD and put him out on. You can put KD in the
You can put him anywhere.
You can put him like anywhere, and it just doesn't really matter. And it's like I think that Giannis is really good at what he does, and he's the most versatile two-way player because he can literally guard from 1 to 5.
Yeah, that's
effectively. And he showed today, like he showed through this series, although I'm very disappointed in DeAndre Ayton. I'm so disappointed in DeAndre Ayton. But this isn't about what the Suns didn't do. Yeah, this is not about what they didn't do. This is more about this is more about what Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Giannis was able to get done. And kudos to Giannis, man, because a lot of people was talking that he went outside last year.
Right.
Now we're having a completely different conversation. Even like a couple, like at the beginning of the playoffs, we were having a different conversation. Nobody was talking about was he the best player in the league. Now it's a conversation that got to be had.
All right. I still
don't think he's there yet.
Right.
I still don't think he's there yet because I do think that like that whole Shannon Sharp thing where he was like, "Oh, they're big three. They don't have a big three." I just think you're underselling Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday at that point. I still think that they have a big three. If we was just to do a 3-on-3 tournament,
it's just not a nuclear big three.
Right. If you was to do a 3-on-3 tournament, it's not the Nets.
Yeah. No,
but,
right.
But when you start going down the list of threes,
right,
the best 3 players on any team, who really are you saying that can really go out there and stop them? Because then they have a point. They have somebody that can play point all the way up to the 3. They have someone that can play from 2 all the way up to 4, and then they have someone else that can play literally 1 through 5. So
that's true because Giannis can handle the ball,
right?
And
so it's like, and when they had Jason Kidd, regardless of how you feel about it, he had him playing the point,
right?
Which show didn't work, but he still did it. He still was able to do it. And he still was like, at that was when he took his ascension to all-stardom, is playing underneath Jason Kidd. So it's just to see. Like I'm actually very, very happy for him. I know I talked my stuff. I did not have them winning.
I didn't either. So I had
to. But that's for a conversation for another day. Shout out to them. Big kudos out to them.
Right.
But man, with the NBA season over, man, let's talk about some baseball. Notch playing, bro.
That's some liquor, man.
For the women out there that's thinking like, oh, the NBA season's over, I'm gonna get my man's attention. Nah, there's Olympics, there's the big 3, there's WNBA, there's baseball.
Right.
Preseason starts in 2 weeks, so. It's your man is still finna be busy. But with the USA team, a lot of their issues for their players out with health safety protocols pertaining to COVID. They lose to Nigeria and Australia, but then they come back with wins against, I think it was, what was that, Slovenia? Oh no, Lithuania. And Spain. So are you willing? And I even seen the kid Gowie, shout out to him. He was like, he was talking about USA playing for bronze. Are you willing to go that far, or do you think they can win the gold?
I think that any time that you're dealing with Team USA is always contending for the gold medal. Since outside of 2004, 2004 that was just a mess. But they're always going to be in.
They should have been.
Right.
They should have been getting the gold though. When you go back and look at that team.
AI on the team, like, child, please, man. Even if you shouldn't even had to give the rookies burn, but even if wanted to give a rookie LeBron burn, you could have gave him burn. Come on, man. Nobody was going to stop the dude. But anyway, back to the original question. I was actually pulling up the roster if I get the official. So just to see the official roster, right? We have Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Jeremy Grant, Draymond Green, Drew Holiday, Keldon Johnson, Zach LaVine, Damian Lillard, JaVale McGee, Chris Middleton, Jason Tatum. Okay? So for me, the issue I have with Team USA is just the lack thereof of size. And me and you, we talked about this, kind of behind the scenes, and it's just a lack of size. I like the addition of JaVale McGee. Bam is a versatile defender, but they're going to need defense and rebounding and Euroball because a plethora of different teams have more depth at the front court position and bigs that can score, the Valanciunas of the world, the Sabonises of the world, et cetera, at the position. Or even if you didn't get a super big, you get a guy like Zion, athletic, you know what I'm saying, that can just bully you down low on the block and can just rebound like crazy if he needs to rebound. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that the bigs that we do have, none of the bigs we have can actually stretch the floor. I realized that. None of the bigs we have, unless you put KD at the 5. But our guard play is going to be immense. We have a lot of guards, or maybe an oversaturation of guards. You know what I'm saying? But I think that at the end of the day, they'll definitely still be in contention, but they need to be cognizant of how they're going to play. I think if I'm Team USA, I'm moving the basketball. I want to stretch the defense as much as possible. I want to actually play at a quick pace. So therefore, I don't have to set up and have to, shoot a bunch of jump shots, long rebounds. You know what I'm saying? I.e., look at the Toronto Raptors versus the Golden State Warriors. I know it's NBA Finals, but just use an example. A lot of long rebounds, and the Raptors are able to use their defenders and their length down low to win the rebounding margin and et cetera like that. So I think from the wing defense, though, we have some good wing defenders. We got Jason Tatum, KD. We've really got a chance to see how good of a defender KD can be when he applies himself. You know what I'm saying? We have Bam Adebayo, so he can switch on to a 4. He can switch on to a 5. He can switch on to a 3. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, I would never count Team USA out. But I think this is the one year, Ralph, where for me personally, I can honestly say, if I'm being objective, I don't think that they should be the clear-cut favorites. I actually would say that it's actually rather open. Even if you look at, I'll give you an example. 2012 when we won the gold medal, right? And, Kobe was a little bit older. We had LeBron in his prime. We had Melo. We still had, I think Wade was on that team as well again.
Because he led the team in scoring.
Yeah. That game versus Spain was I think we played Spain that year again. Yeah, Spain. Yeah, we played Spain twice, I think. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Because 08 was Kobe's clutch one in the final 3 minutes when he just balled out. But 2012, that was a close game. Spain always played the USA tough, and Spain was always one of the elite teams with Rubio, with Gasol, Pau Gasol. So I think
brothers, Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy.
Yeah, I think
Fernandez. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Was Ibaka playing for them at that point, or was that 2016?
Oh, I don't know. Did Ibaka play for the Congo one? I think.
No, he played. He always played for Spain when he did play internationally.
Okay.
Yeah, because he came out of Congo, but he's a Spanish citizen.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but I think this is the year when it's just not a clear cut. They should be definitive, but they definitely have a chance to win the gold medal. So I'm not going to sit up here and say, it's over, they don't stand a chance. No, they stand a chance. I just think that they need to make the other teams play their game.
Right. I think that the versatility that they have to throw at people is not to. It's one of the things that I get it. That there's team basketball, and then there's people that play that just have better talent, and the better team is typically going to trump talent. But I just think that the fact that all of these guys are NBA players, which everybody believes is the cream of the crop.
Right.
So it's like when no country can throw a Bam Adebayo, a Kevin Durant, a JaVale McGee, like those are just types of just physical stature is what I'm talking about. I'm not even talking about their basketball games. I'm just literally talking about just what they had to offer on the basketball court. Mm-hmm. And it's just like JaVale McGee with being an athletic big that can block shots, run the floor, and he's not like someone that becomes a liability at a certain point. His game is always going to translate. You're always going to need a big that can protect the rim, grab rebounds, and set screens. Yeah. Then when you get to Bam, his freakish athleticism, while also being able to, like we seen what he did when he had to guard like Giannis,
right?
Like that right there. That's something that's going to translate to no matter who we're playing against. Then KD just being like, I never understood why KD wasn't called the unicorn.
They gave it to Porzingis, I think.
They gave it to Porzingis. I think he was the one that gave it to Porzingis. But still, we still should have been calling KD the unicorn. Because a 7-footer that can literally take you big off the dribble with a step back jumper, like it's just unfair. Nobody's able to throw that at it. Nobody can throw that at us.
Right.
So it's like, then when you start going down the line, when Chris Middleton and Bradley and Devin Booker get there, then having a Dame who could go off at any moment, Jason Tatum, like we'll see what happens with Zach LaVine, because I heard that he's away from the team currently, but they're expecting him to join the team next week.
Okay.
But as of right now, he's not officially out. And so I just got to see what happens. But I can understand the whole issue as far as like the rebounding standpoint. But I just think that where we have, and when you think about the outside of Lithuania and maybe Spain, no other team has bigs that can go and punish us. Because even Australia, they beat us, but they don't have any bigs that can just straight up out rebound you. It's just a matter of how much effort and heart. Because the one thing that you can
rebounding definitely is effort. Yeah,
right. And it's like the when it came to that Redeem team with Kobe and them, there was no team talent wise that could mess with those teams. But then they were playing hard,
right,
at all times of the game. Like there was nobody that came on the court and was just out there like, "Hey, I'm happy to be on the Olympic team." Nah, you go out there. We got a mission to accomplish.
94 feet. Yeah,
right. And so it's like now we don't have anybody on the defensive end outside of. You could probably go. Nah, there's nobody on the defensive end that I can say we guard 94 feet. But
we don't.
But it's still an effort factor to it, and that's where I think effort. And then the one thing that kind of bothers me a little bit is outside of Draymond Green and maybe Drew Holiday, who's gonna move the ball,
right?
Where it's a bunch of sometimes you can have too many chefs in the kitchen. So like having a Devin Booker, having a Dame, a KD, even if Zach LaVine comes back, a Chris Middleton, a Jason Tatum, like all of those guys are bucket getters. So like who's gonna take that step back? Because the one thing when I brought this up when we had that group chat, we were talking about Melo playing with Derrick Rose, is when Derrick Rose played in the on the Olympic team, he was a pass first and rarely tried to score a point guard. He just literally ran the offense and got the ball into the right guy's hands. Which who's going to take that step back and realize that there's too many chefs in the kitchen?
Right.
I'm gonna let my game take a step back and then just get guys the ball to where they open at. So
and that's my issue. And that's
Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday can pick up 94 feet. That's the only person.
He can. And that's my issue, honestly. That's why I said I'm just trying to be like we're giving our personal opinions and being objective as possible. Like if we were to lose, I honestly would not be surprised. Yeah, sure, it would be disappointing. As like a country, people would be disappointed, but I wouldn't be surprised only because the size issue really it does bother me. But then I'm looking at if you want to pick and pop. You can't pick and pop with Dame, with Draymond, with McGee. Now you can have them roll hard to the basket, right? But then you got the free throw issue. So that's why I'm like, if I'm them, if I'm Team USA, and I'm looking at the coaching outside of Popovich, you have Steve Kerr, and you have Lloyd Pierce, who recently he got fired this year, right? So those are your coaches right there. So I'm like, if I'm them, I'm looking at doing drives and kicks as much as possible because you have a lot of shooting. You have a lot of perimeter shooting, and you have a lot of people that want to cook. But Damian Lillard, he's a rhythm player. You have different rhythm players, and you have Devin Booker. He's not a spot-up shooter; he's a scorer. So what scorers do opposed to shooters? Scorers, what they do is, and this is a great point for like our viewers, some of them who may not necessarily always know the difference between a shooter and a scorer. Is a scorer will ultimately, when they'll start a game, they'll take certain shots. They just go around because what they're trying to do is trying to get their rhythm or get their flow. So their percentages may not be high in the first quarter or whatever, because what they're doing is they're feeling out. So they might take that three. They might, take 2 dribbles in and start shooting. They're trying to, gun around, Now KD, he don't got to do that. KD is a bona fide like Hall of Fame scorer where this dude, he could take the contested 3 off the tip and be cool. And like, man, I'm in the rhythm. Like, I'm like, what you mean? So I feel like
wait till I get rhythm. He shows up in rhythm.
Right. It's like rhythm, like, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. That's kind of why I was actually, when I saw KD, I was kind of surprised because KD went and Harden didn't go. Harden was overseas for all the wrong reasons. So we won't get into that. That's personal, you know what I'm saying? But I'm sure he was bumping that Kanye and Jay-Z song. But anyway, I figured if you had Harden there, I would feel a lot more secure. You need to have one primary playmaker. But at the end of the day, it's gonna be fun. It's going to be fun. So yeah, man, that's all I have to say. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting.
It is one of those things where I very much so am looking forward to it. Once they get to the competitive play. So we'll see what happens. But I do think those are the things that I'm be really looking to is the effort on the defensive end, gang rebounding, and I'm kind of curious to see the role that JaVale McGee plays, because you see what he adds to the NBA game. So to be able to take that, translate that to, especially with the fact that once the ball hits the rim, you can smack it out. So it's like those are the 3 things for me, is that the change in the game, where you're not going to be getting those sweep through fouls, little ticky tack fouls, the FIBA rules, and then the rebounding, and then on the effort on the defensive end.
Right.
And then I think that'll sum it up as far as like,
and contain Luka at all costs.
Because I honestly just, as much as Luka can go off, there's a plethora of players on US that could match that.
There is, but you still got to trust me, man. As someone who's seen him dismantle my boys squad, bro, I keep trying to tell people he's been playing Euro ball since an infant, man. He was in the womb playing Euro ball.
I am kind of curious to see how he does against Drew Holiday. I gotta look it up to see historically how does it work. But
I'm not gonna slight Drew, man. Drew don't want those problems, man. I'm telling you, man.
I don't think you want to tell that to Drew.
But Drew was very prideful, and the statistics, I don't know what he's doing. Like you said, you have to look it up, but the statistics are usually in Drew's favor in matchups. So,
right.
Hey.
So, because even Dev was able to get buckets on him, but when it really truly mattered, what happened?
Hey, you know what? All the clowning we've been doing on Ben Simmons, people have been doing on Ben Simmons. Hey, I'm sure if Luka or someone goes off, they'll be like, man, I wish we had Ben Simmons in USA, though. Hey, he'd be perfect. That's your playmaker right there.
But he probably played for Australia, though.
Honestly. Right, yeah, he probably would.
Yeah, man. So there's been a plethora of you. You can call them young black coaches because they never really coached before as head coaching spots. Today, Willie Green was solidified as the Pelicans head coach. I'm trying to think. What's my man? Udaka
I had to actually look his name up so I could pronounce it.
from the Celtics.
Yeah, Boston Celtics, former assistant to Greg Popovich on the San Antonio Spurs.
Then my man Nate McMillan got read up with the Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's many more. I'm gonna go down the list once I actually get the list in front of me. But
right,
how do you feel about this young crop of new black coaches?
I like the move, right? I like the fact that they're getting an opportunity. I like the fact that you're not just throwing black coaches away, after they reached the second of the conference final. You're using them as a stepping stone, i.e. a Mark Jackson. Now there were some other things which I won't go too in detail or in depth, but me and you know about behind the potential or possible firing that wound up happening with Mark Jackson. But then you inserted Steve Kerr after Mark Jackson laid the base. I've seen the Lionel Hollins, be fired, after going to like a conference finals or whatever. So a lot of times I think black coaches get hired, right, like this, and then, okay, they just can them. So to see a guy like Nate McMillan get re-upped with a young team, right? Because he's coached veteran teams before in Portland. I think he was a coach for Indiana at one point as well.
Right.
Yeah, that's where he previously was. And now he's with a young squad with John Collins, with Trae Young. I like that. I like that the Mika Uduko hiring by the Boston Celtics, and they have a nice young core there as well, and they're trying to reach new heights. So you're putting them in certain positions, and they actually have talent around them. So these aren't coaches that are going to positions where they don't have pieces. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, okay, you're coaching Chris Mim, Chucky Atkins, Shammond Williams, Slaven Medvedenko, the 06 Lakers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh man, you have no shot for prosperity. You know what I'm saying?
Or those early 2000s Nuggets teams.
Oh my goodness, man! Them and the Cavs
before they got Melo.
Right. Yeah, before they got Melo, they were literally the two worst teams in the history of NBA. I think they went on like 30-game losing streaks, and yeah, it was crazy. So for me, I always like to see the hire. I always want to see a young brother, old brother succeed in general. But as long as you're making sure that you're giving them an opportunity, getting the right person for the job, right? And you give them a fair shake and a fair evaluation. And I think it's a good sign for hopefully things to come moving forward. I'm really interested in that Boston Celtics. You know what I'm saying? So the Boston Celtics are.
I'm recording right now.
So yeah.
It's
all good. Yeah.
It's all good. It's so like, yeah, man. So I think like the thing that makes me most happy is seeing certain players speak out about it and it actually working. Like Dane came out and said, I want these group of guys. Go interview these group of guys. And I think that I don't think Chauncey was the first choice.
No, I think it was Becky Hammond actually.
Yeah.
For Portland. It was Becky Hammond. Or they were upset that they they were upset they didn't hire Becky Hammond, and there was like the backlash. And Jason Kidd was the first choice.
Jason Kidd was the first choice. That was what it was.
Right.
Yeah. And then Jason Kidd getting hired down in Dallas.
Yeah.
To where he gets another crack at it after realizing his mistakes in Milwaukee, being with LeBron and that coaching staff. So we'll see what happens with that. Chauncey out in Portland. But I do think that a lot of Portland's issues boil down to coaching, but also health and personnel.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. The Celtics one is the one that kind of like, because I don't know too much about Homie. All I know is he played for the Spurs for a few years, and then I didn't see him for a minute, and then all of a sudden I see him at the end of the bench as an assistant coach. So like he's been groomed underneath Popovich for a minute. So we'll see how that works out. One of the ones I was kind of hoping that he would get the opportunity was Darvin Ham.
Darvin Ham. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping that he would get an opportunity because I've seen a couple people vouching for him and trying to get him that opportunity.
For anyone who doesn't know who Darvin Ham is, he was a former slam dunk contestant. I believe he was in the 97 slam dunk contest where he went up against like Kobe Bryant and things that nature. He was also on that Pistons championship team, I believe, in 2004 as well. So he's also a former
role player,
NBA champion as a role player as well. Yeah,
right. Yeah. And so, like, I am happy to see, because it is one of those things where you've seen coaches, and just in these playoffs alone,
right,
like, come in and the adjustments that they made, just the straight up leadership, just like Monty Williams, they did. You can see it went viral, that clip of him talking to DeAndre Ayton. Now that's a whole other conversation for itself, but watching that clip, that's what you want in your coach.
Right.
You want him to pick you up when you're feeling down, instead of like, because everybody always thinks like, oh, it's a coach, he's supposed to just hammer you. And it's like, no, like at the end of the day, you are a leader of men.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be able to feel to one, relate to them. And who else, I hate to bring race into it, but who else can relate to you to someone that comes from your background?
Yeah.
And so I am happy to see that opportunity. We'll see what happens. The one I'm most looking forward to is Chauncey, because players have been talking about Chauncey. There was talks about Chauncey even going into a GM position.
Yeah.
So the coaching part where he signed with the Clippers last year kind of caught me off guard. But so we'll see what happens as far as like that, if he'll eventually get like a Thibodeau, Doc Rivers type of thing where he'll have control of the team while also coaching the players. But with him, his mind is the things that he would call while being an analyst on the sidelines was just, I truly appreciate that, man. Just for the sport of basketball, and what he's been able to do. His IQ is phenomenal. So then having to be able to partner him with someone like a Dame, if they're able to keep Melo for another season and seeing how that works, as long as with CJ and the rest of the guys, I want to see Zach Collins come back, because I do think that like not having him is a big factor into that team as a whole, because then that gives you, if you go to a lineup to where you play him at the 5, you still now at that point you have 5 shooters instead of having 4 shooters and 1 big. So it just changes so many different things as far from a strategic standpoint. But I am very curious to see how that works out. Shout out to all them dudes, man, and all them guys. It is a long time coming.
Like Sam Cooke song. It's been a long but I know that's always like
right. And so we're gonna transition, use this opportunity to transition to it's been a lot of drama in the NFL, man. Mm-hmm. We're gonna start off, you see it at the bottom of the screen. We were talking about it in the group chat a couple of days ago. Mm-hmm. It's just starting to look like Aaron Rodgers is not going back to the Packers.
Yeah.
So who's the best fit, man?
All right. So
what is the best fit?
So the best fit for Aaron Rodgers is the starting lineup on day 1 of the Green Bay Packers roster at the quarterback position. But we know that's not going to happen because he has chemistry and continuity with the best receiver, or arguably the best receiver in the NFL, Devontae Adams. And he said, if I'm not mistaken, Ralph, I think he said, if Rodgers ain't the quarterback, I ain't playing or something like that. So I say ship them both out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not so if he wanted to be real with it, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'll stay in Green Bay. And but that's not, it's not what I would do. It's, best fit. So yeah. But if he were to leave, if he were to actually truly leave Green Bay, I'm looking at the 49ers. I know they got a quarterback, but if the 49ers are what, 2 years now removed from the Super Bowl? You're 2 years now removed from the Super Bowl. You have a defense, right? You have offensive pieces. You have an offensive, I want to say genius, right? But you have a offensively competent play caller in Kyle Shanahan At times, though, he can, be a little too, self-absorbed in his play calling and stuff and overanalyze things. But you have a guy that knows how to use the running backs that can keep Aaron Rodgers fresh, with his different like zone run schemes and different things like that. He has a tight end. I actually like San Francisco. If I'm not mistaken, Aaron Rodgers is from the Bay Area as well, or he went to Cal. He went to University of Cal. He was also upset that
they didn't draft him.
Right, they didn't draft him, and there was reports about how Aaron Rodgers would make by Greg Jennings. One time he made a comment about like Mike McCarthy when he was still the coach because he had said something. It was related to like the 49ers or whatever, and like it was low key. Like Rodgers was kind of being serious about it though, but he said it in jest. I'm not quite sure what the quote was off the top of my dome, but if I actually had it in front of me, I would definitely read it. So I've always felt like I could see Aaron Rodgers one day in a 49ers uniform. I actually predicted that Tom Brady would be a 49er, and I was wrong. So, hey, look.
Right.
So that doesn't mean that another number 12 might be in a 49er uniform. You feel what I'm saying? Right. So for me personally, Ralph, I like the fit with the 49ers. I really do. Now, you look at strength of schedule and competition. Well, the Seahawks, we really don't know what the Seahawks are going to do this coming season. I like what they have in DK Metcalf. They have Russell Wilson. Their defense, they added Jamal Williams, but they still endured a first-round playoff loss, right? The Rams are actually a really good team on both sides of the ball defense. They got Matthew Stafford, right? And so we're looking at that as being an upgrade. The Cardinals, they improved their defense with a Chandler Jones and with a J.J. Watt. You have I think Hassan Reddick is still there. You have Kyler Murray, a young quarterback. They still missed the playoffs. Now, they did deal with some injuries, though, but they have a plethora of different offensive weaponry. So that NFC West, it's tough, right? It's tough, okay? So if you're looking at just, okay, where I can actually go to have the path of least resistance, and you know that Tom Brady gives you problems, then I'm looking at going to the east side. And somehow, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't want him in my division. I really don't. But possibly the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know how the money works. I don't know how you get rid of Big Ben. You got Dwayne Haskins, but Dwayne Haskins isn't going to be your number one, guy. So I'm looking at, but you get what I'm saying? It's like Big Ben. People, like even the Steelers fans are over Big Ben. So it's like, how do you force him to, you know what I'm saying? So Big Ben and maybe, but the Patriots just drafted a quarterback, and I believe that they're going to have Cam Newton and Mac Jones compete. So I like the 49ers, man. You're going to have to go through that fire. But if you stay in the NFC, what you're familiar with, at the end of the day, at some point in time, if you get out of that in the conference championship game, I would assume that you have to see that man. And that bad man is not Aaron Rodgers this time. It's Tom Brady. So
so this is going to be
I'm curious of what you say, though.
I've been sitting here thinking about this whole time. I even started looking it up, and I was just like,
you looking at the Raiders cap situation?
Nah, I'm not even thinking about the Raiders.
You looking at the Raiders cap situation?
Aaron Rodgers to the Bears would be real interesting.
I was thinking, but they do have a defense. They have a good defense. Like when we talked about defenses, the Bears' defense did get brought up. Right.
Allen Robinson, Montgomery at the running back position. Emmett at the tight end position, big 6'7", receiving tight end.
Mm-hmm.
You have Justin Fields, who could come in, but then you've already came out and said you're starting the season with Andy Dalton.
Right.
So who would you rather have, Aaron Rodgers or Andy Dalton? And then let Justin Fields sit for a season, maybe two, but he's learning underneath Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
And I just think that, like, you put all of those together, man, that's and it gives him an opportunity to play the Packers twice.
Yeah. Like Brett Favre played the Packers twice when he was the Vikings.
Right. Which is another team that I would say I just don't believe you're getting nowhere with Kirk Cousins.
Oh no, you're not at all.
So, but as far as the money situation, because I think they re-upped with Kirk for another couple years.
Could he go to the NOLA?
Technically, yeah, he could go to New Orleans. He could go to New Orleans. They got Taysom Hill and
oh hell no, yeah no.
What's the crab legs boy?
Yeah, Winston. Yeah, that's not a formula for prosperity. Come on, man.
I do personally think that with good coaching,
yeah,
that Winston could end up being.
Yeah, he could, but I'm like, I don't know if he's
because he did throw for 30 touchdowns.
Right, they do have a very innovative
interceptions.
Right, true, right. but is he going to raise your ceiling like a Rod? You know what I'm saying?
Nah.
But
I think the Bears. Yeah. I do think Bears and Saints would be the best two fits.
Okay,
outside of the 49ers.
I like those three teams, and I was going to ask you, right? Because it kind of reminded me of when you mentioned the Bears, when you mentioned the Vikings, and I think Rodgers would love to get back at the team because, well, you didn't do anything. And so when you have animosity or anger and angst, you want to take it out on somebody, right?
Stick it to them.
And stick it to them. You know, stick it to the man. But Brett Favre did it, right? It might be crazy in their history if you have their two best quarterbacks, unless you believe in the dinosaurs like Bart Starr. You know what I'm saying? The two best quarterbacks going back and dropping 4 touchdowns on them. You know,
there was like 6 teams in the league at that time.
Right. Thank you. It was like the Russell debate in basketball.
Right.
We'll get to that. Maybe like a GOAT list one day. But with Aaron Rodgers, I'm just thinking about, okay, how does that happen though? Because they're not going to trade him willingly to the Bears or to the Vikings or anything like that. But I'm looking at Brett Favre, and Brett Favre had to go or be traded or whatever to the New York Jets. Had that torn bicep. Then next thing you know, he magically ends up on the Vikings, telling Brad Childress to sit your behind down. I got this. And next thing you know, he has one of the greatest seasons ever in NFL history by a 39-year-old quarterback and makes the NFC Championship game. So I feel like it would have to involve another team, an outside team, external team, for him, Aaron Rodgers, to be traded and somehow force his way onto the team that he ultimately wants to go to, a la Kawhi Leonard. So, yeah, in basketball. So just using an analogy.
Yeah. I think, or because I know you and Tar was clowning my boy.
Which one?
If the Giants are ready to move on from Daniel Jones and get an Aaron Rodgers, and how easy that conference is.
Right. Oh yeah. And it's cold. Cold weather.
Another cold weather team.
Right.
Defense is pretty good. Mm-hmm. While you still have weapons on offense.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you just replace the quarterback with an Aaron Rodgers. Right. Now, at that point, we just spitballing teams at this point. But I do think that, but it's still an upgrade at a position and in a conference that is weak.
Right. You go from playing Madden on All-Pro
or the Redskins, because we literally have no clue who their quarterback's going to be.
Oh my! I like that. The Redskins, a horrible division, an elite front seven.
Yes,
can easily be had. Maybe the Redskins. And I need to see what the sports book odds will be for these Aaron Rodgers teams. You know, once it's that he's actually gone. If he does leave, then I might have to put some bread on a couple of these. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what happens, man. Some more drama in the NFL.
Yeah.
I got to see if I can find the exact words that got the homie all up in his feelings. But the NFL comes out and they make a statement regarding players not being vaccinated.
Okay. And
let's see if I can find it. Yep, there it is. And it got Deandre Hopkins all in his feelings. They pretty much came out and said that if the teams are going to be missing a large amount of players due to COVID and players not being vaccinated. If there's a COVID outbreak, it's going to result in fines, while also they could have to forfeit games. Deandre Hopkins, who is a very well-known player, is not vaccinated. And he tweeted, if my team is going to be fined or if we're going to have to give up games for me not being vaccinated, I'm going to have to contemplate my future in the NFL. So, as a person that is not vaccinated, do you think he is overreacting or do you agree with it?
What's the saying? My body, my choice. Now I understand. Don't get mad at me, guys. Or guys, girls, whatever. But I'm not, making a mockery of that actual thing. But I'm just using it as an example. It's his body and his choice. It's and matters of health, right? Just like when you have family members, matters of health. Your health is your health. Your health is the most enriched, wealthiest thing, the most important thing to you, right? So if you feel like the vaccine or you're opposed to taking said vaccine or you want to take the vaccine, that should be solely on you. Ralph, let's say you have the common cold, okay, and you want to go, you don't want to go to the doctors, okay, your choice, right? People are making those choices forever. No one should have to drag you. So I don't think that he's overreacting, because I think now you're making it trying to penalize people monetarily and attack their salary. I don't care how much he makes, right? So I don't necessarily believe that he's overreacting. Do I necessarily agree with the rule either? Not necessarily. Not necessarily, because I feel like it's crazy because it's the standard for the vaccine hasn't been the standard for the vaccine, hasn't been the same across the board. Like no one's it hasn't been like a universal law, or should I say a national law where, okay, you have to take it, right? Now with the NFL, just have like marijuana laws and things like that. So it seems like they're almost trying to implement, well, you can do this in one state, but if you're a member of said NFL, you can't do this. Well, with the vaccine, it's like if you're a member of the NFL, you have to do this. So if they're going to try to make a rule, then, that's their rule. But I don't believe that, to answer the question, that Deandre Hopkins is in the wrong, nor do I believe that he's overreacting to that rule. It's his personal feeling and what he feels that he's doing the best for himself.
Yeah, I do. I pretty much, this is one of those things where this is definitely one of those topics, and we've had this conversation many times, that I just think that there's no one way to go about it. And I do personally feel like, and I heard, not to bring it off of a sports topic, but I've never seen something marketed to a group of people, or even like an issue. They care so much about our health now, but there's so many other issues as far as the Black community. But now they're putting their money, instead of putting money into trying to fix other issues within the community, they're going to put money into the pockets of celebrities to tell us to take vaccines. It's just something within that, I just understand, and that resonates with me, why people don't want to do it. And that's why I haven't done it. But if it came down to it, I'm going to Hawaii next week.
Mm-hmm.
If it had came down to it, now the policies said that I could either be vaccinated or have a negative COVID test 72 hours before my trip, and I'm fine. But if it had came down to it, and the only way to go was to be vaccinated, hit me up. Let me get both of them right now.
Yeah, I'm going to Hawaii.
Right, I'm going to Hawaii. There's nothing stopping me from going to Hawaii. But
I gotta drink coconut milk and all that.
Exactly. And so it's for me, I definitely understand why some people would be totally against it.
Right.
But I also get why some people would be for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for the people that'll sit there because I have some friends that are nurses and people that are in the medical field. And it's for you to ignore that part and not understand why some people would be skeptical about it, it even makes me even further more skeptical.
Right.
Because it's like, why are you so uptight about it? Especially because it's like, it's not like if you get this vaccine, you won't catch COVID.
Right.
Especially like earlier today, I was reading an article about in Texas, there's a confirmed case of the the Lambda variant strain of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if there's a new strain, that vaccine ain't gonna do much for me.
Yeah, I understand where you come from, because like my folk, he's my dad, like he's get the vaccine, it doesn't take much to get the vaccine. I understand it doesn't take much to get the vaccine. He's like, do this, do that, but ultimately the vaccine hasn't been out for a full year, right? So that's the first thing. Side effects don't have to come into effect a week, a day. Things happen. Also, people are talking about the second wave. Well, now you're starting to see certain things pop up, and depends on which vaccine you take. Different age brackets. You have people talking about like Jay Williams. He caught it, and his whole entire family was like vaccinated. So it doesn't prevent you from catching it. They say it's supposed to make the symptoms, better or whatever, but then you have to take these booster shots. And like, I don't personally want to, live that way. You know what I'm saying? To me, but at the end of the day, like, you have to do what you feel is best for you. You know what I'm saying? I know for me, and I have been mostly isolated, but over the years since, when we were working home and then to now, I've been good. I haven't caught it. You know what I'm saying? So it's I'm with you on that. There is a little, dare I say, gimmicky feel and vibe to the celebrity and like the pushing. Like, I don't know if you saw the Juvenile, doing the back.
Oh, bro.
Like, come on, man. So
that thing up? Come on.
Right.
I was
back
like,
up.
Juvie. He got paid for that.
Yeah.
He got paid for that. Like, come on. That's the stuff I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I'm just being real. It looked like a damn clown show to me. So like, I can't find that. And it's like, what is the real motive? Why are you, the mayor saying, okay, we're gonna give you this amount of money to get vaccinated? Like, what? It's like out of a movie. You know what I'm saying? So so you're not easing, if anyone like fearful, and I'm not saying I'm fearful, but you're not easing or quelling some of those people's skepticism, should I say, when you're engaging in those types of activities or that type of promotion, that type of marketing for a vaccine, right? So it makes me wonder what else is at play here. So tying it back into Deandre Hopkins, at the end of the day, it's his body, his choice, and he's ultimately it's up to his decision. So I don't believe that he's overreacting. You know what I'm saying? So
that's the one thing for me. Like, one of my homies, I gotta see if he used it yet. But Hustler, Larry Flint's Hustler Strip Club. He got a free bottle, like bottle service, which is typically $200-$300, maybe even more than that, for free, because he was able to prove that he was vaccinated. And it's like little stuff like that for me is where it's just like, that don't sit well with me. And so like with that, man, we go close out, guys. We had a good show. Thank you all for watching. We're back, and from now on, we will be doing some type of content on the weekly basis. Even when schedules don't align, we got to make sure we're doing something. But make sure you catch it on, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, the He Say, She Say channel. He Say, She Say is all one word. Make sure you follow the Instagram page. I've been saying it wrong this whole time. It's J.U.K. Sports Show, Juke Sports Show, not Juke Boys Sports Show, at Juke Sports Show. Follow me as well on Instagram at KYNGRALPH on Instagram and TikTok.
And you can follow me at the.houseofhoops. That's at the.houseofhoop for all hoop content.
Yeah, man, and it's a wrap. Like the NBA season, baby, it's a wrap. Thank you all for watching. See y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.